If your site has lots of pages, it can be difficult to see what's happening without feeling overwhelmed. In this video, I'm going to give you a simple and effective method you can use to analyze your pages much quicker without the overwhelm. Welcome to the channel, my name is Leon. This channel exists to help you make better decisions using your analytics data. If you like what I'm doing and want to support the channel, please click like and subscribe to the channel. That helps a ton with reaching more people with this message. When it comes to creating and managing content on your site, analytics is invaluable. It can help you with questions like what pages do website visitors open, what pages do visitors read best, and what pages perform best in search engines like Google. And it can help us with deciding what our website visitors like and what they don't like. And if there's a problem, where to improve. And you only have so many hours in your day, so you want to spend that time on the right content and improving the right content. Analytics can help you make better decisions on where to spend your time most effective. But let's say you're working on a site that has lots of pages, maybe hundreds or thousands of pages. Analyzing all those pages can be very overwhelming. Over the last 10 years, I've worked with organizations like schools, hospitals, newspapers, but also online stores, and many of those organizations had 10 to 100,000 of pages. Well, when you try to analyze all those pages, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. And in this video, I want to give you some ideas you can use to analyze that content better, quicker, and without feeling overwhelmed. I'll start the video with an overview of all the possible solutions that are available within GA4. But then I'll give you my personal favorite solution for getting started quickly. There's a free GTM recipe that you can download in the description that you can use on your site to get this up and running quickly. Feel free to skip ahead. I'll add chapter markers in the description. But now let's dive in. So one way to make the process of analyzing lots of content, lots of pages, way easier is to divide all the content that you have into larger groups. So that way you go from maybe a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand pages into 10, 20, maybe up to 50 groups of content. So for example, let's say you're working for a newspaper and you have thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. Well, probably it would be logical to divide all those pages into a group that says what section that article is in. So for instance, you have a politics section, you have a business section, you have sports, you have arts, you have opinion, and probably it would be useful maybe even to go a little bit deeper. So within sport, you also have a subsection that talks about soccer or basketball or golf or tennis. But then you want to maybe also create groups by author, or maybe you want to group it by publish date. When you go from analyzing the separate pages to analyzing the groups, you immediately can see what groups are performing better than others, what groups are more popular than other groups, and also what groups are growing and what groups are declining. And if you want to maybe maintain or invest time or invest money into content somehow, it helps tremendously by deciding where to invest that time first. Another example, let's say you're working for a university and you're working on their site, creating content, maintaining content. Well, perhaps it would be useful to group the thousands and thousands of pages that you have into groups like what fields of study is this page about, or what program is this page about. So you just add the program name. Or what level, is it a master's degree or maybe a bachelor's degree? Or is it what duration does this program have? For instance, 6 months, or maybe it's a 1 year program or a 2 year or 3 year, 4 year program. Or what audience does this page serve? So probably you have just your regular audience, like regular students, but maybe you also try to reach students from different nations, like foreign students. Or you have vacancies. Perhaps you want to attract new teachers in your organizations or new staff members. So that's also a different audience. It's very helpful to be able not just to analyze the separate pages on the site, but also to see how many views you have, the read time, the whole behavior within those different groups on your site. But how do you do this in GA4? Well, there are several ways you can use in GA4 to make these groups. Let's go over them real quick. So if I go into GA4 and I go under Lifecycle, Engagement and into Page and Screens Report, and I open up the page path and screen class dimension in the first column, I see all the separate pages. But also, if I open this up, I see here content group. And this is the first one that you can use within GA4 that's already there by default. And if I open this up, you'll see that not everything is not set. And that's because there's some setup needed from a developer before you can set this up. But you can use the content group to make one kind of separation in your content. So for instance, if you have a newspaper, you could use this content group field to store the section of the newspaper, for instance, sports or arts or opinion or whatever. But this is also pretty limited because many times you have different kind of groupings altogether. So if you want to do that, you can go under Admin and under Custom Definitions. So let's say that beside the content group, you want to add more fields to GA4 that you can group your content into. For instance, the subsection or the author or the publish date of the content. You can add all those fields right here. I do not have the permissions on the demo site, but there's a big button here that lets you add different fields. The downside of both content group and custom dimensions is that you need a developer to help you with getting the right data into GA4. And probably you'll need some advanced GA4 expert to help you set this up. Well, there's another way that I'm about to show you that makes this process a little easier, and that's by grouping your pages into the page path level. Let me show you what I mean. So I have an example sheet right here, and I downloaded all the pages on my site. And as you can see, it's not a huge list, but still it helps explaining the idea. I have, for instance, here I have training Google Analytics for in company, but also I have here the page/training, and also have training/aanvraag, which is kind of a request form. Training Google Analytics in company, which is a different training. I have also a Google Tag Manager in company, so I have different pages under /training. Well, what I like to do is go from the separate pages into page path level 1. So it will give me, for instance, the home page, contact, but then training, and it just automatically adds all the training pages that I have. So training, all the, so it all adds them up, and it just shows every page that starts with, because it's level 1, it starts with training. And then I can see, for instance, I've had 400 views on that subfolder, and I can compare it to other subfolders. So for instance, I have a subfolder called blog, which is not performing so well. You can see that it has way less views than the subfolder training. Of course, this depends on the way your URLs have been set up. You need a nice structured URLs that contain the structure of your site. If your URL structure just has one level, this will not work. But if your site has a nice structured URL, this is a nice way of easily analyzing that URL structure inside GA4. So let me show you how you can set this up. So I've created a small GTM recipe for you that you can download. It's right here. You can download this via a link in the description. And it's really easy if you download it to your desktop. You can just follow along the tutorial as I import it to my site. So I go into Google Tag Manager and I go under Admin. And under Admin, I have my container. I check if this is the right container. This is the right container for my site. And I click Import Container, choose Container File. And for me, it's already here on my desktop. Page path level recipe. That's the same file you download from the description. And then you click Open. Under Choose Workspace, I'm just gonna import it in an existing workspace. This is really important. Do not miss this step. Don't click Overwrite, because it will remove everything you have and add the recipe to your container. That's not what we want. We want to keep what we already have and add the recipe to the existing container. So we click Merge. Just to be sure, I click Rename Conflicting Tags, but I do not have conflicting tags. I already see that. I just import one tag and 4 variables, and that's it. So after this, I click confirm. This will add different things to your GTM container. Under variables, it will add 4 variables: the page path level 1, page path level 2, 3 and 4. And if you want, you can even add more page path levels. I'll explain that at the end of the video. And it will import a tag, the GA4 config example tag. This tag you will probably not use, but I've included it here so you can see what you need to do to your config tag. You probably already have a GA4 config tag. Mine is right here at the top. So what we need to do here, we need to open the GA4 config tag, and under fields to set, there are 4 fields that we need to copy from here and add to the GA4 config tag that we already have. Page path level 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to add the variables to those fields. So I'm gonna go into my GA4 config tag. I'm gonna open it up. I have no fields set yet, but if you already have some fields, you can just add these fields to the existing implementation. I'm gonna click add row, and under field name, I'm gonna paste page path level 1, and I'm gonna add 3 more rows. I'm gonna say 2, 3, 4. There you go. So, and now under value, I wanna go into the variables, page path level 1 in the first one, level 2 in the second one, level 3 in the third one, and level 4 in the fourth one. Now I click save. And because I've already transferred all the settings into my existing GA4 config tag, I now can delete the example tag. So I do that by clicking into the GA4 config example tag, and I'm gonna delete this tag. Well, let's just go into preview mode and see if this is working or not. Going to connect. This will open up a debug session. Let's go into a training page. So if I open up my site /training/Google Analytics 4 in company, and I go into my tag assistant, and let me find the GA4 config tag. There you go. Well, from here I'm gonna go into the last container loaded, because that's the training page that we're on. And now I can see the values that have been sent into GA4, and page path level 1 contains /training, which is first level, and page path level 2 contains Google Analytics 4 in company, which is the second level. And the page path level 3 and 4 are empty, and that's right because I only have 2 levels in this case. Well, let's go into GA4 and see if the data is coming in correctly. So we're going into admin, under debug view, and always check if you're in the right site. I'm gonna open up the last page view event here. I'm gonna look under page path level 1. Yes, it contains /training. Page path level 2, it contains Google Analytics 4 in company. If you've checked that your tags are working, do not forget to press submit to push your changes live. So I'm just gonna add a small description. Page path level 1, 2, 4. Publish. There you go. So the last thing we need to do is add these parameters as custom dimensions in GA4. And that sounds complicated, but it's really not. So let's do this together. So under custom definitions, and just to be clear, we're still under admin, under property, and then you have custom definitions. There's a section called custom dimensions, and we're going to create 4 custom dimensions here. I'm going to add a dimension called page path level 1. I recommend filling out the description. That way other people that log into GA4 know what values they can expect in this field. So you could say something like, this is the first part of the URL. And then under event parameter, I'm going to paste from my clipboard page path level 1. This is the same value that we added to our GA4 config tag. I'm going to hit save, and I'm gonna also add the other dimensions the same way. Again, the page path level 2, this is the same name that I added in GA4 to the GA4 config tag. So now we've done the whole setup phase, let's go into reports and add page path level 1 to level 4 to the report. So under report, I'm going into engagement and pages and screens. This is the report that we started with. In the top right corner, you can go under customize report. Then you go into dimensions, and here we can add our new dimensions to the report. If you do not want to scroll, you can just type it, page path. And there they are, page path level 1, page path level 2, page path level 3, page path level 4. And if you've added those 4 fields to the report, you can hit apply. I'm going to zoom out a little. Now we can save the changes to the current report. I'm going to hit save. And now I'm going back. So I'm back in my report. Under the first dimension, I'm going to select page path level 1. And let's see what's there. So I've had this on my site for a couple of days before I made the video. So I have already a little bit of historical data in this report. You'll probably do not have it because you just added it. So it will probably be empty. But if you check back tomorrow, if you check back in a week, you'll see these fields filling up in your reports. So what we have, page path level 1, this is the first level, and I see that over the weekend not much has been viewed. So the home page and then this page, but no training page or whatsoever. And one thing that I like to do is creating some kind of a drill down in this report by adding different levels next to each other. For instance, I can add page path level 2 next to page path level 1 here by clicking the plus icon under custom and add page path level 2 to this report. And there's only one filled in. Again, I have a little bit of historical data here. So under Google Tag Manager support, there were 2 views under server-side tagging, for instance. Well, you can also use these fields in your explorations. Let's do that real quick. So I'm going to create a blank exploration. Under dimensions, I'm going to add page path level 1. And let's just also add page path to the report as well. And let's add views. So you could do something like this. You could add page path level 1 as a row and as values your views. So again, not much historical data. Then you could do some kind of drill down. So let's say Google Tag Manager support. I want to dive a little bit deeper and I want to see all the pages in that category. So I can right click and say include only selection. And then for instance, say page path level 2. So what are all the level 2 pages underneath that level 1 page? So again, not much historical data. Or I could say, I do not want to see level 2, but I want to see the full page path within level 1. And we've already filtered down page path level 1 by right clicking. So we can remove this row to create a little bit more space here. And I see all the pages, all the URLs, but then only from the page path level 1 equals Google Tag Manager support group. So that's how you import page path level 1 to page path level 4 into GA4 real easily. In the video I said that you can also add more levels if needed. So let me show you how you do that before we close off the video. So if you want to add, for instance, a 5th or 6th level to this structure, you can go under variables and then open up, for instance, the page path level 1 variable. What you need to do here is just copy this custom JavaScript and hit close. And then you can add page path level 5 by going into new and saying page path level 5. Under variable configuration, you choose a custom JavaScript and paste in what we've just copied. And then under level, just say 5 and click save. Now you've created a fifth variable that you can use the same way we've done in the video. So you go under tags, you open up your GA4 config tag, you create a new row under fields to set, you say page path level 5, and then just add the new variable to this tag. Hit save. Of course you'll need to test this and submit this. You'll need to go into GA4 to add it as a custom dimension. You need to add it to the report just like we did in the video. But this is how you add, like for instance, a 5th level, 6th level. So on really large sites, this is sometimes useful. So that's it. These are some tips for analyzing lots of pages on your site. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it was clear. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. If you want to support the channel, please click like or subscribe to the channel. That really helps me reach more people. Alright, I hope you'll have a great day and see you in the next video. Goodbye.